Hello, friends. Welcome to Book Fuels. Today we are going to talk about How to Change by Katy Milkman. In all our lives, there are moments that give us a chance to start fresh, like the beginning of a new year, our birthday, a Monday morning, or the start of a new month. In these moments, we feel we can leave past mistakes behind and start something new and better. This concept is called the Fresh Start Effect by Katy Milkman. The fresh start effect means that whenever we feel a new chapter of life is starting, our motivation automatically increases. We feel more inspired and move toward our goals with a renewed perspective. For example, many people make New Year's resolutions: lose weight, exercise daily, or learn a new skill. Why does this happen? Because the new year is a big symbolic time that signals our mind it's time for change. When we connect with a time landmark, like Monday or our birthday, we feel like we're getting a chance to leave past mistakes, failures, and regrets behind. Our brain naturally creates a psychological boundary, a clear line between the past me and the new me. This gap distances us from the version of ourselves that's in the past and pushes us to become a better version. Think about when your birthday comes. You automatically think, this year I should become more mature, achieve something new, or do something meaningful in life. This thought process supports the fresh start effect. It's seen not only in adults, but also in children and young adults. The scientific base for this is strong. Studies have found that gym memberships, goal setting, and learning commitments see a sudden jump when people connect them to a fresh start point, like New Year's Day, the first day of school, or the start of a financial quarter. But it's not just a psychological trick. It can be used smartly. Suppose you set a goal last month to wake up at 5 a.m. daily, but you failed. If you stay depressed about that failure, your motivation to try again will decrease. But if you tell yourself on the next Monday or the first day of the month, I'm starting fresh now, you'll feel motivated again. The fresh start effect also teaches us that timing is a powerful tool when it comes to behavior change or habit formation. Actions taken at the right time are driven from within, without external force. Milkman says we can plan to use this concept in our lives. Suppose you want to develop a new habit like daily meditation, a study routine, or healthy eating. You can create a symbolic fresh start for yourself, like after a festival, after a semester break, or after a weekend trip. If you consciously decide after that pause that you're starting anew, your brain will support that effort. An interesting example. Many people want to start gym or diet only on a Monday. If someone says, it's Wednesday, start today, they delay it. Why? Because Monday signals a clean slate, a day that feels fresh and different from the rest of the week. But one important thing, a fresh start doesn't mean you should always delay goals until a special day arrives. The right use of it is when you're recovering from failure or setback and need motivation to rise again. A symbolic reset button can help rewire your behavior. The fresh start effect also shows us that our brain perceives the past and future separately. When a special date arrives, we naturally think, what I couldn't do before, I will definitely do this time. That optimism inspires us to take action. Another big benefit is that when you connect your goal to a fresh start, it gains deeper emotional meaning. It's no longer just a task. It becomes a personal commitment. For example, now that I've turned 30, I should focus on my health, or now that I'm married, I should become financially responsible. These time landmarks can also redefine your identity, and when identity changes, behavior naturally follows. How to apply this in practical life? Suppose you want to learn a new skill like coding or public speaking. Choose a fresh start date like the first of the month or your birthday. Make a personal promise that you're starting that day. Similarly, if you want to quit a habit like smoking or using your phone late at night, use a symbolic date. Turn that fresh start into a ritual. Write it in your diary, tell a friend, or reward yourself. Also, to support the fresh start, change your environment. If you want to start going to the gym, keep your gym clothes ready, set an alarm, etc. Fresh start works only when action is linked to it. Milkman's research also shows that organizations and schools can benefit from this concept, like encouraging employees to set new goals at the start of the year or giving students clarity and vision at the start of the semester. All these things boost motivation significantly. In short, the fresh start effect is a simple but powerful method for behavior change and personal growth. It teaches us that sometimes just looking at time differently can create big changes in our thinking, motivation, and performance. So next time you feel you've fallen behind or missed a goal, instead of drowning in guilt, choose a fresh start. Pick a symbolic date, reset yourself, and begin again, because change is always possible as long as the start happens at the right moment. And remember, one big secret of success is giving yourself the chance to try again with each fresh start. We all know building good habits is important, whether daily exercise, studying, eating healthy, or learning a new skill. But the truth is, many of us start these habits but can't maintain them for long. Why? Because good habits often feel boring. They don't give immediate pleasure, and their benefits show up in the long term. On the other hand, things that give instant happiness, like scrolling Instagram, watching favorite shows, or eating junk food, are easy to turn into habits. This is an interesting part of human behavior. The solution to this problem is the temptation bundling strategy, explained by Katy Milkman in her book, How to Change. The meaning is simple. Trick yourself into doing something good by linking it with something you already enjoy. That means the task you want to do but can't, combine it with something you naturally enjoy. For example, suppose walking on a treadmill is boring for you, but you love Netflix shows. You can set a rule that you will watch your favorite show only when you're on the treadmill. Now what happens? Your mind creates a link between exercise and entertainment. Whenever you think about exercising, you'll also feel excited about the show, and thus make the boring task interesting. Temptation bundling is like giving yourself a reward, but in a smart way. The reward and the task happen together. You're not just enjoying yourself, and you're not just working hard, you're combining both smartly. Another example, a student finds studying boring but loves listening to music. They can play their favorite instrumental playlist in the background whenever they study. This will make study sessions more interesting and keep their attention longer. Over time, they'll associate studying with that music, making reading sessions naturally enjoyable. One more example. An office employee finds making reports or sending emails dull, but loves sitting in a cafe and drinking coffee. They could do their boring tasks in the cafe, enjoying the coffee aroma and ambience while working, making the task feel easier. Psychology plays a big role here. Our brain naturally wants to repeat activities that give happiness, but avoids those that are boring or have no immediate reward. When we link these opposites, a boring habit and a fun activity, the brain doesn't resist, it feels motivated. For this strategy to work well, there's one small rule. The fun thing should only be accessible when you're doing the good habit. If you decide to watch your web series only on the treadmill, you can't watch it at other times. Otherwise, the effect weakens, because if you can enjoy the tempting thing anytime, your brain won't see a reason to do the boring task. Milkman and her colleagues even researched this. In one study, participants were divided into two groups. One group was told to just exercise. The other was given an exciting audiobook but could only listen to it at the gym. Result? The second group exercised more consistently. Because exercise wasn't boring, it became part of their favorite story time. The beauty of temptation bundling is that it can apply beyond habits to daily routines, like listening to your favorite podcast while cleaning or doing dishes, or watching comedy shows while ironing. You could even call a friend only while going for a walk, so you walk and stay connected. This strategy is like tricking the brain, but in a healthy way. It prevents self-torture in the name of discipline, makes life more fun, and still helps achieve goals. Another benefit is it reduces the load on willpower. When a task is naturally enjoyable, you don't have to push yourself repeatedly. Instead of forcing yourself to maintain a habit, link it to a fun element so it becomes sustainable. Some real-life situations. If morning walks feel boring, but you love cricket commentary, decide to listen to it only during your walks. If you want to learn cooking but find kitchen time tiring, play motivational videos or music while cooking. For students, if you dislike history but love chocolate, reward yourself with a small chocolate after each chapter. Temptation bundling balances life. It doesn't let you just enjoy or get stuck in boring routines, but creates a connection between the two. Not only do you get closer to your goals, but you also learn to enjoy the process. It's fully customizable. You decide what you love and what's necessary, then bundle them. Example: you love painting but forget meditation. You could decide to paint only after meditating. We all have to do tasks that are necessary but not exciting. Temptation bundling makes them a bit more fun, and when a boring task feels fun, doing it daily isn't hard. In the end, temptation bundling is a simple yet highly effective method to maintain even boring habits long-term. Using it correctly helps you build consistency and make habit building enjoyable. So next time you want to start a good habit but lack motivation, think about what fun thing you can pair it with. You'll have both fun and progress. In daily life, many things we do without thinking, like checking our phone as soon as we wake up, getting dressed after a shower, or craving sweets after a meal. These are habits, and they form through a magical formula called the cue and routine connection. Katy Milkman explains this concept in a simple, scientific way. She says when we repeatedly perform the same behavior in the same situation, our brain catches the pattern and the behavior becomes automatic, requiring no extra effort or thought. A cue is a signal or trigger that starts our behavior. For example, if you always brush your teeth after drinking coffee in the morning, coffee becomes the cue. Whether you think about it or not, your brain gets ready to brush after coffee. This is the strongest part of habit formation, consistently repeating one action after the same cue. Our brain is wired to save energy, so if we do a task the same way repeatedly, it turns it into a shortcut, requiring less mental effort. Milkman says if we link a good behavior to a strong cue, it becomes a habit automatically, without much willpower or motivation. For example, if you walk for 10 minutes after dinner daily, in a few weeks your brain will identify dinner as the cue and walking afterward will feel natural. If you want to make studying a habit, doing it randomly won't work. But if you decide to study for 30 minutes after lunch daily, lunch becomes your cue. Every time you eat lunch, your mind will prepare for study, and it will soon become a powerful habit. This system is so effective that if we use it smartly, we can bring many positive changes to life. But it requires self-awareness. We must identify our current cues and the habits connected to them. Many times, we develop negative habits through the same system. For example, smoking when stressed, scrolling the phone when bored, or eating junk food when sad. These habits also have cues, emotion-based cues. If we identify them, we can replace them with positive habits. For example, if stress makes you want to smoke, choose an alternative, like deep breathing for 5 minutes or a short walk. If you repeat this with the same cue, a new habit will form and the old one will fade. Milkman also says habit change depends not just on cues, but also on rewards. Every time we complete a habit, we need a little satisfaction or joy. That reward signals the brain that the behavior is worth repeating. So if you want to start meditating daily, reward yourself afterward with a cup of tea. Your brain will associate meditation with tea, making the habit more enjoyable. If you want to start journaling daily, doing it randomly won't work. But if you do it right after brushing your teeth, brushing becomes the cue, and since brushing happens daily, journaling will soon fit into that rhythm. Milkman also notes that if a cue is intentionally chosen and regularly reinforced, habit formation becomes smooth and automatic, requiring less effort and making long-term behavior change sustainable. The cue-habit connection can also be useful in workplaces and schools. For example, giving students time-based cues like a short reading session after morning assembly or group activities after lunch. This repeated routine builds discipline and consistency. Companies can use this to increase employee productivity. For example, holding a quick brainstorming session after team meetings. Once the pattern becomes regular, employees naturally focus on new ideas after meetings. If a habit is linked to an existing strong habit, its success rate increases greatly. This is called habit stacking, like flossing after brushing or writing gratitude notes after tea. If we observe our lives closely, we'll see every good or bad habit is linked to some cue. If we want to change habits, first we must identify the cue, then attach a new behavior to it, and repeat it often. Many people think habits form through willpower, but the truth is strong habits form through cues and repetition. When something is done at the same time and conditioned daily, repetition hardwires it into the brain. If we sincerely apply Milkman's advice, we can greatly improve our health, career, relationships, and learning. Success comes not just from motivation, but from smart systems, and cue-based habit formation is one such system. In the end, if we observe our routines and link important habits to strong cues, those habits will gradually become part of daily life, whether it's waking up early, working out daily, or studying consistently. It all starts happening naturally with little effort. That's the power of cue-habit connection. Small signals, big success. We've all experienced this. We genuinely wanted to do something important, made the plan, but when the time came, we simply forgot. Later, when we remembered, either the time had passed or the motivation had faded. This forgetting is one of the most underestimated problems in our success journey. We often think we lack willpower or discipline, but many times the truth is, we just didn't remember. Katy Milkman addresses this issue well in her book, How to Change. She says forgetfulness is one of the biggest reasons our behavior change efforts derail, and the solution isn't just try to remember. It's to create smart systems that help us remember our intentions. Think about it. If you decided to call an old friend today or submit a report by evening, but then got busy with other tasks and completely forgot, it's not necessarily because you lacked discipline. It's because there was no system to remind you at the right time. Milkman says that in such cases, relying solely on memory is risky. Our daily lives are filled with distractions, and our brain can only hold so much in its working memory. This means important intentions often get buried under less important but more urgent distractions. The solution? Implementation intentions and reminder systems. Implementation intentions mean deciding in advance exactly when, where, and how you will do something. For example, instead of saying, "I'll exercise today," you say, "I will go for a 20-minute walk at 7 a.m. in the park after breakfast." This clear mental script reduces the chances of forgetting because you've linked your intention to a specific time and place. Reminders can also be physical or digital triggers, phone alarms, sticky notes, calendar alerts, or even having a friend check in. The idea is to set cues in your environment so the task resurfaces in your mind at the right moment. Another useful approach is pre-commitment tools, like scheduling tasks in a shared calendar so others expect you to follow through, or signing up for a class so there's a fixed time slot in your week. Milkman also highlights the value of visual cues, keeping visible objects related to your goal in your surroundings. For example, if you want to take vitamins daily, keep the bottle next to your coffee mug. If you want to journal at night, place the notebook on your pillow in the morning so you can't miss it later. The core idea is, don't depend on willpower or memory alone. Design your environment so it nudges you toward action. If you create systems that make forgetting almost impossible, you've already removed one of the biggest roadblocks to behavior change. In short, success often comes down not to how motivated you are, but to how cleverly you design your surroundings and schedule to remind you of your intentions at the exact right time. Forgetfulness is natural, but with the right strategies, it doesn't have to be fatal to your goals.